I think that really it's the ability to form a partnership. And we talked earlier about having, I call it a relationship bank account. In other words, I know you, I respect you, I find out about you, I find out about what makes you tick, I find out about your family, your likes, your dislikes, your hobbies. I show a little bit of myself and let you know who I am. And we build this emotional bank account where we make deposits each day by, hey, Ryan, how's things going? How's Monty doing? Has Sammy climbed any trees recently? And you walk away saying, hey, Tom really values me as a person. And you may say, hey, Tom, how are the photographs coming? How are things down at Cuca? And day by day, we build this bank account. So when I come to you and say, Ryan, we've got this really difficult account that I need you to pay attention to. I know that, the doctor you're going to be working with is tough, but I know you can do it. And I really need you to focus on it. You think, okay, Tom wouldn't ask me this. He values me. He knows my capabilities. He wouldn't ask me this unless it was really important. I'm going to go do it. And if you run into problems, we've got that relationship that you can come and say, I really need some help with whatever the issue is. And I'm there. I always say, I had to give you the tools and the talent and whatever you need to do your job successfully would be my job. And you knew you could come to me and say, hey, I need some anger management training, Tom. And I say, we'll get it and get you back on track. That emotional bank account, that respect and mutual trust in each other is so key to having a successful workplace.
I would imagine, because you worked in, was it film processing the majority of the time at Kodak? Or
I worked in film, started out in where they actually made the film, sensitizing, and then moved to finishing. That's where your dad and I started working in film finishing, which is where you slit it to size, put those little holes that we all know and love in the side, put it in a package and ship it out to all corners of the earth.
So there was a lot of, I would imagine, kind of dirty work that had to be done in the dark room and just throughout Kodak. One of the things that I've found with leadership is leaders that aren't afraid to do the job of the people they're managing and the most meaningless job oftentimes, sweep the floors, stay late, pick up garbage. The leaders who are willing to do that stuff and have the humility to get down and dirty tend to they build that capital, that leadership capital, or they're making deposits into that emotional bank account that you talk about. Is that something that you did often, or is that something that you talked about or valued?
It's amazing you brought that. That is so key. And it was such an important part as I learned to be a leader, to be able to go out. And I actually got my fork truck license because when we were really busy on the night shift, I'd hop on a forklift and I would move pallets, for folks because they were busy assembling the film. And inevitably somebody would come up and say, Tom, I'll do this. I'll say, no, I got it. And we would have such fun because they'd make sure that I had my seatbelt on and that I was beeping my horn and stopping at all the stop signs, and it would build that camaraderie. But people would say, down the road, man, Tom's not afraid to jump on a truck. We had pipes break. Your dad and I, we got into this. We had a sprinkler head get knocked off in a storage area. And sprinkler, I don't know if you know it, but when you knock off a sprinkler head, the first few hundred gallons of water is rusty, stinky, been sitting in the pipe for like way too long. And that's the first stuff out, right? So your dad and I come in, and of course we had the sprinkler head and it's in the film storage area. So he and I, we both grab squeegees and brooms and whatever we can. And we're in there, and 5 minutes into it, we're pushing water around, and the drains are all, Kodak had a weird way. They always would put the drain at the highest point in the floor. So we're taking these brooms, and he's coming, your dad is, come on, Prichard, push that. What are you doing with that broom? Get it over here, And people would come in and they would see us Ryan, within 10 minutes, we would have everybody in the business up working on the problem, and we would stick with it. We had one problem where your dad couldn't get these special cans that we send to Hollywood to film, and they were gold colored. And he and I found a ton of them that had film in them and had tape on them and labels, and we had to take the tape and labels off. So he and I set up this like assembly line, and he'd say, Prichard, I don't have the patience to take the adhesive off. He says, I'll scrape the label, you get the adhesive. And we came up with this process. We cleaned, I don't know how many thousand cans, and people would come up and they would skip their break to help us, to move the cans and to get them ready because Hollywood needed the film. And so he and I set this up in our fingers because we were using this, it was an orange, you can buy it. It's an orange spray and it's orange oil, and you use it to get adhesive off. Well, it also dries your hands out. And the two of us, our hands would end up looking like, this piece of paper at the end of the day. But people valued and saw that, and it inspired them. And they would actually get to the point where they want to push us out of the way to take over. But if he and I had walked down and said, this is what we want you to do, it would never have gotten done. So yeah, absolutely.
What an awesome example. Not surprising at all. Like I said, everyone that really not demands respect, but everyone that receives respect in terms of leaders and managers, I feel like they earn it and they don't demand it. Almost to the point where they shun it away, and it's the actions that really bring it on. So that's really cool. So
just real quick, because I don't want to belabor it, but you hit on a good point. The thing that's really interesting in the job market today, multitasking is huge, right? Everybody is overloaded. You have way too much, to use an expression, way too much on your plate, right? And so you tend to always be in a rush. You have to fight that. There's another one of those conscious choices, right? Sherry and I blew off meetings. We would blow off things that, we knew we needed to do to focus on people, to focus on the things that were important, to take the time to set up that line and begin scraping labels off, to show leadership, because that was more important than the budget meeting that we may have gone to, or to, getting whatever report we were asked to get out. I know personally, both he and I had to apologize a couple times because we didn't get reports out on time because we were handling a situation. Never once did we have a manager, reprimand us. They're always like, you guys made the right choice, thank you. But today, that's something I think people have to guard against, because you are expected to do so much. Take the time. As a leader, as a human being, you will know when those choices need to be made, the right choice. Again, hold yourself accountable. People are an important part of the process. Just do it.